people get involved in your campaign. They say, you know what, I love this woman, I love what she's doing, she's fighting for us. This is John Villarreal reporting for Conservative New Media.
Conservative New Media viewers, it's me, John D. Villarreal, Paula Villarreal there on the phone. Now, I want to put a bow on this whole Shirley Sherrod episode because we sure as heck want to move on. And I want to say a couple of things. Some people have been talking, emailing me, whatever, and I thought it was already unbelievably clear. But let's make it super duper explicitly clear. We've already corrected the record. But some people want to hear an apology, whatever like that. So we'll just say explicitly right now. Now that it has been revealed, and as soon as it was revealed, that her comments at the NAACP dinner in March were taken out of context, to the extent that we amplified and, those out of context comments, we apologize for that. So there's no question about that. We've said that pretty much the whole way through. As the story changed, we corrected and changed the coverage. Now, as we said before, we didn't go on the air until after the Secretary of Agriculture had fired her, / she resigned. A bunch of other news outlets, all the other major news outlets were reporting it, and the NAACP backed up Secretary Vilsack for firing her. So, I don't apologize for covering the story, and I don't apologize for covering the story the way that we did. I apologize for the effect that it had on Mrs. Sherrod now that we know all the facts, and to the extent that we contributed to that portion of a negative effect. And we got more stuff to say about it here. But I applaud our coverage. We're the only ones that have been covering this thing, in my personal opinion. We've covered it better than anybody. Wall to wall. I was the first major media source that I know of that went on major national outlet and had already seen and watched the entire full NAACP tape. As soon as that thing came on, we were the first ones to watch it that I knew about in a major media source and went on the air and talked about it and discussed about it. So we've tried to be unbelievably fair. We've had video after video. Our audience wants us to move on to other stuff. We've tried to be as comprehensive and complete as possible on this. But again, I don't apologize for our coverage whatsoever. The old videos will not come down. None of that's going to happen. Because this is, it's like a blog post, it's like an archive, this is a chronicle of, it's like having newspapers that are on microfiche or something like that. This is how, this is a coverage and a chronicle of how we react to stuff. We're against racism wherever we find it. We're going to discuss and talk about the news events as they happen. That's, we do a talk show, that's what we do. We do all kinds of different things, but that's pretty much the main thing of what we do. And we had absolutely completely credible information at that time. I'm not God. I am not the White House. I don't have the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, all those other agencies at my disposal, billions of dollars, a legion of reporters. We don't have that. And when we see, and anyway, let's say this was a plane crash or something like that. I mean, people are so out of control about this. It's like if the White House and major news outlets are telling you there's a plane crash and all this other type of stuff. I mean, before you have to take that at face value. It's pretty simple. So, but now that we have the full context, when things have changed, things have shifted, of course we're going to correct the record, and we did. But again, for those that are so hung up on that they need an explicit apology, because we already pretty much said that. I already said that on the air. Rusty Humphrey shows 330 plus odd stations, but I will be very clear. We apologize for amplifying a characterization of her comments that was taken out of context, and any negative effect that might have had on her or anything like that or whatsoever. But we do not apologize at all for our comments based upon the facts, based upon what we believe by credible information was the correct context and the information that we had at the time. That's all we can ever do, is give you our opinion and our analysis and our best broadcast of what we have at the time. That's why I have disclaimers on my stuff, because especially on hot topics, because you don't know always where things are going to go. That's why I'm a super genius. That's why I'm a lawyer. And you know, I already anticipate those kinds of things. That's the nature of being in the talk show business. That's the nature of dealing with hot topics and breaking news. And that could be on anything. That could be on the, you know, dog bites man story. That can be on, you know, a terrorism story or any other story. That's just how it goes. Now, I want to put some more comments in this. And Paul, do you have anything else? You have anything you want to say on that?
Yeah. Look, you apologize for it, for any conclusions or effects that what we covered at the time when the news first came out, and I'll apologize as well. I apologize to Ms. Sherrod for my own reporting. And we got the information that we got. We came to the same conclusions that apparently the Obama administration and Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack came to. We did the best job we could in saying that this is what we believe or this is what we alleged, etc. But given the footage that was there was a demonstration, apparently, of a racial bias towards the white farmer. We had to talk about that because that was part of the story. And so we apologize for the effects and not having a full set of facts. We did the best we could. We did what many other news organizations did.
Right, and now we're going to deal with that in a second. And again, it's not just Secretary of Agriculture Vilsack, and it's not just the White House the Obama White House. You know, maybe President Obama himself. There's dispute on that. We'll talk about that in a second. He denies it. Other people deny it, but Mrs. Sherrod said the White House was involved. We'll get into that. But it was also Mrs. Sherrod who resigned herself. Now we've seen her out here. She seems, you know, pretty like she stands up for herself and whatnot, and has been a fighter all her life. Why would you resign? I mean, and we had the NAACP. So it's like, what other evidence? If you're in media, and particularly on a talk show, what other evidence would you expect us to have before we go on? Because then because let's flip that around. What you're basically saying is we have this whole raft of evidence here from ostensibly credible sources, and that we should not talk about and be upset about what is apparently an egregious racial type of bias in the government. Are you freaking mad? Of course we're going to talk about that. Of course we're going to be against that. We are against racism and discrimination and against dividing up any Americans into these stupid little groups. I don't believe in that stuff. That's what we're against. When we see that on any side, left and right, we talked about before how we took Mark Williams of the Tea Party Express to task. And again, many people on my side, political contacts, some friends and quasi, or potential business contacts, like him or tight with him. That's not doing me any, personal favors, but it was the right thing to do, in my personal opinion, because I think what he said was just wrong and not funny and stupid. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I don't know the guy. I met him once. He was cool to me. I saw those comments. I thought he was doing some good things on certain things. Again, I don't follow it that closely. But when I saw those comments, those are stupid comments. Those are wrong. And we're going to blast him for it. And we did. There's two people, potentially, in my personal opinion, responsible for getting this wrong. Two main people. Whoever gave Breitbart the tape and/or Breitbart. Now, Breitbart gave an explanation. We talked about that before, that he got the tape and it was the way that it was, and he recounts the events there. I have no reason to not believe him. I've met him before. We talked briefly. As far as someone on the right, I appreciate a lot of what he does. He's wildly successful. I really respect his business success. However, I've always said that I'm not totally comfortable with a lot of his style and tactics on certain things. It's no different than I'm not totally comfortable with the way Michael Savage approaches certain things, or the way Ann Coulter approaches certain things. I think it's a little it's over the line for me. Some of the stuff, it's a little bombastic for some of the stuff. Some of the stuff is fine. You know, that's just that. But I don't want to go there. That's not where I'm at. I'm not trying to, you know, say there's anything necessarily wrong with it. I'm just saying my own personal taste, stuff like that. But let's be clear about this. So I have no reason to not believe Breitbart's account of this. However, it's incumbent on all of us as a primary source. I know what I would do if I was, you see, the thing that separates conservative new media and that we're proud of is that we air things as unedited as possible.